So, there's a fascinating trend that's really changing how we think about work and motivation. And get this, it's jumping from the corporate world right into our universities. Let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? You're going through the motions, you show up, you do the tasks, but that spark, that extra effort, it's just not there. You're doing exactly what's required, but not a single thing more.
Well, it turns out there's a name for this, and it's not just a 9 to 5 thing anymore. It's popping up in lecture halls, libraries, and study sessions, and it's starting to really shake up what it means to be a student today. All right, so let's start with what's going on here. We're talking about a term that absolutely blew up on social media, especially TikTok. And now it's giving us a whole new way to understand what's happening in higher education. First things first, what exactly is quiet quitting? It's not about actually packing your bags and leaving. It's about putting up boundaries. It's about saying no to that hustle culture and just doing the job you were actually hired for. Think of it as a defense against being overworked and feeling unappreciated. So, how in the world does this apply to students? Well, a really insightful thesis from East Texas A&M University decided to dig into that exact question. They looked at whether students are using the same bare minimum playbook, and what they found is pretty eye-opening. Now, this is a crucial distinction. We're not just talking about apathy or, being lazy. The research suggests that for students, quiet quitting is an active strategy. It's a deliberate choice to save their mental energy and avoid burning out completely. That's why different than just being disengaged. And here's the paradox at the heart of it all. In this study, a massive 76% of students said they felt detached from school. But at the same time, 100% of them, every single one, said they genuinely cared about their education. So there's this huge gap between wanting to succeed and how they're actually feeling day to day. So how does this actually play out? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. Around 48% of students said they actively steer clear of extra responsibilities. And even more, 52% admitted they just don't bother offering up new ideas. They're making a conscious decision to not go the extra mile. So the big question is, why? What's really driving this shift? When researchers actually talked to students, three really powerful reasons kept coming up again and again. Reason number one, it's just a simple calculation. Students are figuring out that pouring in 110% effort often gets them the exact same grade as just doing enough to get by. So if there's no real reward for all that extra work and no punishment for doing the minimum, well, the logical choice is to save your energy. The second big reason is that education is starting to feel very transactional. More and more, students see college as just a stepping stone to get a job. So if an assignment doesn't seem directly connected to a skill they'll need for their career, they start to wonder, what's the point? And their effort drops. And finally, it comes down to just plain old exhaustion. Students are getting worn down. As the semester grinds on, their academic stamina just tanks. Quiet quitting isn't a choice so much as a survival tactic. It's a way to manage a crazy workload and just make it to the finish line without completely crashing. So this story of student burnout is pretty clear. But here's the thing. It isn't the whole picture. Turns out, students are not the only ones in the education system feeling this way. Because if you look to the front of the classroom, there's a parallel crisis happening with educators. It's a different story, but it's rooted in the same feeling of burnout and maybe even more, a deep sense of powerlessness. I mean, just listen to this quote from a study on educators. It's so stark. It really captures this feeling of complete frustration of being left behind by the very system that's supposed to be supporting them. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. Basically, when you're stuck in a stressful situation that you can't control over and over again, you eventually just stop trying. You start to believe that nothing you do will make a difference. Sound familiar? It's basically the professional version of what the students are going through. And this stress isn't coming out of nowhere. The educators in the study talked about a whole host of problems: a total lack of support from above, crushing workloads because of staff shortages, and feeling completely unequipped to handle the complex needs of today's students. Okay, so let's put this all together. We have students who are quiet quitting out of exhaustion, and educators who are experiencing learned helplessness. This is not a coincidence. This points to something much bigger, something broken in the system itself. When you lay it all out side by side, it's pretty shocking. The students are exhausted, the educators are burnt out. Students are using the bare minimum to cope, educators are feeling helpless. Students see college as a transaction, educators feel undervalued.
It's like looking in a mirror. They're just different symptoms of the exact same problem.
So, if the current system of rewards and punishments, grades for students, mandates for teachers, is just leading to burnout for everyone, what's the answer? Well, some research suggests we need to focus on something else entirely, sparking a real, genuine motivation to learn.
So, what does that even look like? Well, one study breaks it down into 3 key ideas. First, give students more autonomy, more control, so they don't feel so helpless. Second, help them build competence so they can actually see their hard work paying off. And third, and this might be the most important, spark their curiosity. It's all about shifting the mindset from I have to do this to I get to learn this. And all of this brings us to one final really big question. If the students and the teachers, the very people the system is supposed to be for, are both burning out, then who is this system actually working for? And is it time we started thinking about a major change?